joining me. So this episode 1 is going to be a little bit of a origin story, I guess. So you get to know who I am and what I'm doing here.
And so it begins.
Basically, I had a pretty regular life. Not great in school. Liked to party a lot in college. Played a lot of hockey, baseball. Got married, got 3 kids. The youngest is 27 now. Yeah, just kind of went through life and having a good time and playing hockey and baseball and thinking I was in good health and shape, and relatively was in good shape and good health. Up until, my 40s, I started packing on the weight. And then when I got into my 50s, started having issues. Had gallstones, had to get my gallbladder out, and had pain in my back. I kind of had pain in my back for a lot of my life. Pain in my knees were coming. It was harder to play baseball. It was harder to breathe. I'd lose my breath quickly. That kind of thing. And then I was having issues with my feet, so I went into the doctors, and they took my blood pressure, and, you got high blood pressure. We're going to put you on some pills. I'm like, yeah, I'd rather not go on pills. What can I do? He says, well, lose weight. So over the next year, I got an elliptical, and I started pounding out on that every day, 30 minutes every day, getting my heart rate up really high, going, doing different resistance and that sort of thing. And my weight was like 277, so I dropped down to about 230, and blood pressure went down. It was still on the high side, but it went down. Doctor's like, yeah, good, just keep doing that, and just check it once in a while. After it goes back up, come back in. Anyways, I kind of did that for a while, and then started feeling good about myself, and ringing in the ears stopped, and that sort of thing. And I kind of went back up to 250, and the next thing you know, it was 260, and now you're 270, now you're 277 all over again. It's like, okay, well, I got to get this weight off. So, I went on the internet, started researching on, how am I going to get this weight off? Because, before it was, cut out the salt and smoothies and health foods and all this kind of stuff with my exercise. And I stopped kind of the exercise part of it, the heavy exercise, but I was still eating those foods, and my weight was going back on. So carnivore started to be the big rage, so I decided to give that a shot for a while. And yeah, it did drop my weight pretty quickly over summer, from 277 down to about 230 again. 225, 230, fluctuated in and around there, and then bang, COVID. COVID took over the world, and all of a sudden, and then I started, researching about that, and I've never been a big pill guy or, taking medicine type of guy and all that kind of stuff. So, and at first I thought, vaccines are going to save us, and then, after talking to people, my family, and started doing a bit of research, I was like, maybe it's not such a good idea. Let's see how this plays out. Well, then, of course, we all got you're not allowed to ask if it's good or not, right? This never happened before. They always told you to get a second opinion and do your research, but now we're just told to follow the science. Well, that kind of put me off. It's like, something's not right here, right? I started to question it. I started to kind of look up people that had different opinions, and, that sort of thing. And I started to talk to people about, different opinions and different ideas that were out there. And, all of a sudden, they started, if I questioned it, they'd start calling me names. They'd try to shame me. The government did it. The media did it. Even family members, did it. One family member, would say, you're only dumb people ask questions. Don't ask questions. Just follow the science. Just do what they say. That really put me off. And if you challenge me, I stand up to that challenge. So, I'm like, no, I'm not just gonna do what they say. I'm gonna make sure it's the right thing to do, right? So, I even had one close family member. He was often would post on social media about how stupid we were, and anti-vaxxer this and anti-vaxxer that, and anti-mask this and anti-mask that. He wouldn't even listen to any of the ideas or thoughts. It would just come out, shut up, you're stupid. I mean, he even went ahead and posted a meme of a redhead sitting on a toilet looking at her phone with the headline saying, "I'm doing my research." Well, my wife's a redhead, and he knew that, so it was a direct shot at her family, right? You're not going to censor me by calling me names. You're gonna make me jump up and be more
The
loud,
Joe Rogan
get my voice heard.
Experience.
So I decided to do what we've always been told to do in the past. I started doing my own research and getting second opinions. But now that was taboo. Unless you listened to who they wanted you to, any expert that went against their narrative was canceled. And that was a big red flag for me. You know, they tried to censor them, just like they tried to censor us by calling us names, by, character assassination, all that kind of stuff. And it was the media was out, and some of these people were experts in their fields. And because they weren't going with the mainstream narrative, they were getting shot down and called names and canceled. We all know it. We all know what happened, right? And then for me, along came Joe Rogan podcast.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
The Joe Rogan podcast, I mean, I've listened to some of his podcasts where he's had actors and stuff on before, but he started having on some of these experts. It got past all the censorship from the mainstream media, and we got to listen to these guys and listen to their reports and their stats and all this other stuff. And through the Joe Rogan podcast for myself, I started coming across all these guys. Dr. Sean Baker, Paul Saladino, Cameron Haynes, David Goggins, Kirk Fulks, Robert Kennedy Jr., Jocko, Diana Rogers from Sustainable Dish, Andrew Huberman, Brett Weinstein, Rhonda Patrick, Rob Wolf, David Wolf, the Natural Health Doctor, all sorts of people, Jordan Michaela Peterson, the Liver King, Grundy MD. There was tons of people that all of a sudden came to light that were out there that were doing things and saying things that, didn't go with the mainstream media, and they tried to cancel it, but you could hear what they say. Joe Rogan also had on the doctors that pushed COVID vaccines and were for it, and Sanjay Gupta and a few other people, but he was an open podcast, and he asked people questions and they speak. And I remember seeing every time he had somebody that was kind of against the vaccines or weary about the vaccines, the whole media, CNN and all the people would get out there and bash Joe Rogan and say Joe Rogan's not an expert. What does he know? And well, he doesn't know. He just has experts on that do know, right? But after listening to all these guys that I just mentioned, all the stuff came to mind, vegan and vegetarian and carnivore and all these ways to eat, to be healthy, and seed oils and processed foods, sugars, vegetables, supplements, energy drinks, health drinks. Oh, it was crazy. The wormhole is big to go down if you're trying to get healthy. I've had vegan food before. Some of it tasted great, but at what cost, right? I've had family members, and acquaintances that did it and eventually had health issues. So what do I do at 55? How do I become better? How do I make my life better? How do I become healthier? How do I take the weight off and keep the weight off? I'm 55. My wife says I'm 56, but I'm going to tell you I'm 55, right? So I started to talk to people about what I've heard and what I've read and all these people that I've just listed, right? And aside from my immediate family, my wife, Denise, my daughter, Brittany, and my sons, Mitchell and Garrett, and the odd couple of close friends, Joe Todd and Shane Dick, and a couple other people, I heard of a lot of this. It's too late for you. I have bad knees or a bad back. I can't do that. And we moved just before COVID to a big, huge property, need a lot of work. And what are you moving to a huge property for at your age? Too much work. You should be downsizing. You're getting old. It's too late. It's too late. I just wasn't happy with that, and I was challenged again. So, on my countless hours of driving, I listened to podcast after podcast after podcast. And one podcast I came across on the Joe Rogan Experience, he had on Robert Kennedy Jr., episode 1999, if you want to listen to it on the Joe Rogan Experience. Well, I'll tell you, mainstream media did not like it at all. A very well COVID anti-vax doctor, Dr. Peter Hotez, Hotez, who Joe also had on his podcast during COVID, You can find that on episode 1261. And this health doctor who was pushing vaccines to make everybody healthy admitted on the podcast that he was a junk foodaholic. What? This health doctor ate junk food? Was a junk foodaholic? That doesn't seem right. That blew my mind. Shortly after Joe had on Robert Kennedy Jr., he had on a guy named Cameron Hanes. You'll find him on Joe Rogan Experience episode 1996. He's a family guy, my age. He had a full-time job, and he was physically fit, and he was a bow hunter. He was just a regular dude, nobody special. But, he was healthy, and he ate properly, and he worked out, and his values were the same kind of values that I would like to have. After Cameron Hanes, after I kind of searched him up, it led me to some other guys like Kip Fulks, Jocko, David Goggins, Paul Saladino, and Sean Baker, these guys, right? When I started seeing these guys, on social media, on Instagram, and all that kind of stuff, and then I saw RFK Jr. doing push-ups, and he was buff. I mean, he was in top shape at 69 years old, as were all these other guys, Sean Baker and Paul Saladino and Kip Fulks and David Goggins, and all these guys are at the peak of fitness. Joe Rogan even. And I was like, wait a minute, like the expert, a junk food eating, unhealthy, and overweight people are telling me that these healthy, fit, and successful people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Actually, I even quote a relative. They're full of shit. They're full of shit. Wheels turning now. It's like, I'm supposed to believe unhealthy health doctors, and I'm not supposed to believe physically fit, healthy people that are my age. My wife and I sat down to watch a documentary. That Sugar Film. It's a documentary on Amazon. And it's about a guy's journey to discover the truth about sugar. So for 60 days, this guy ate a quote-unquote healthy, low-fat diet. No junk food. These were healthy foods, but they were also full of sugar. Low-fat yogurts, granolas, and fruit juices. Everything they tell you to eat to be healthy. All this healthy food says in the package is healthy and everything. He gained 22 pounds over 60 days. He expanded his waist size, and he developed pre-diabetes at the end of the 60 days. So before he started this experiment, what he ate was 50% quote-unquote good fats, nuts and avocados, that sort of thing. 26% protein, eggs, meat, and fish, and 24% carbs, veggies, all that kind of stuff. So he went from being 167 pounds before he started the health food to 198 pounds after 60 days. His waist went from 33 inches up to 37 inches. And his triglycerides, which is the fat that circulates in your blood, went from 0.08 to 1.5, which is like at the risk point. And get this, his calorie intake was exactly the same. So he didn't eat more calories. He didn't eat less calories. It was the same, except he put on all this weight. Love handles around the gut. Liver started turning fatty spots on his liver, that kind of stuff. In 60 days of eating health food. And his calorie intake being the same, so that would suggest that it would suggest that it's not the calorie count, it's not the calories, but the source of where the calories come from that make the difference. It took this guy 2 months after to get back to 6 months after going back to his regular diet to start feeling better. He was having headaches and withdrawals and all that kind of stuff. Basically, the little bit of sugar that's in these foods, and the man-made sugars, are making you addicted to these foods. That's their secret. So Denise, my wife, looks at me and goes, "We're going to try this and cut out sugar out of our diet." Easier said than done, right? Denise goes out shopping, and holy crap, everything has sugar. All the foods have sugar. It's so hard to find anything without sugar. Breads, all sorts of stuff, right? So anyways, so if you're going shopping and if you're going to go look into the ingredients, Any foods that has in the ingredients syrup, which is corn syrup or rice syrup, could be listed as either. Any word that ends in OSE, fructose, sucrose, maltose, dextrose, raw sugars, cane sugars, brown sugars, confectionery sugars, anything that has fruit nectars, concentrates of juices, honey, agave, molasses, all that stuff's added sugars. Bad, bad, bad. All that stuff is in quote-unquote health foods that they're pushing out there. Bad. Say that again. If you look at the ingredients and you see any ingredients that say syrup, corn syrup or rice syrup, any word that ends with OSE, so fructose, sucrose, maltose, dextrose, raw sugar, cane sugar, brown sugar, confectionery sugar, if it has fruit nectars, it has concentrate of juices, honey, agave, or molasses, that's all bad shit for you. Not good. This is the stuff that was in the stuff he was eating, the health foods. Yikes! Okay, so my journey begins. Our journey begins. The words, "You are too old," and "It's too late," motivate me. I thought of Joe Rogan, Cameron Hanes, Kip Fulks. They are my age and they're killing it. And this podcast, It's Never Too Late, was born. So far I've cut out sugars. I've gone on walks and I do yoga-like stretches. Kind of every other day. Every other day I get on an elliptical. This morning I actually went for a very short run. A little bit at a time, short steps, because it's never too late. My starting weight at the beginning of this is 235. I'm 6'2" and I've got belly fat. It's never too late. I want to be healthy for my wife and my kids, and if they have kids. I want to be there and I want to be healthy. It's never too late. I want to be healthy so I can be the best hunter I can be. I'm going to be healthy because it's never too late. And it's never too late for you either. Start small. Change your eating habits. First, go for short walks. Before you know it, you'll be walking further and farther and faster. It's never too late. I hope you press that follow button. As the next episode, we will dive into 1 or 2 social media influencers and what works for them, and update you on what I've done so far. Have a great day. It's never too late. Cheers.